Hello and welcome back to the channel where flavor knows no borders. This is Food Around Me.
What do Americans eat to deal with a crisis? A burger the size of the moon. And Vietnamese. A bowl of raw pig's blood chilled like an ex's heart. Welcome to our list of 10 Vietnamese dishes that made Americans emotionally confused. Not just because of the taste but because of culture, history, and, occasionally, deep psychological warfare.
If you've made it this far, maybe your curiosity isn't average. Maybe you don't just eat to survive, you eat to understand, so don't just scroll away. Drop a thought in the comments, something only you would say. Like this video if it sparked anything inside you. And hit subscribe, not for the algorithm, but for the next question you never knew you needed. Because here, we don't feed the masses, we feed the minds that wonder.
Vietnam's raw blood pudding that shocks and seduces. To the untrained eye, this dish looks like something from an ancient sacrificial ritual. A bowl of raw, glistening blood-deep crimson, crowned with crushed peanuts and fragrant herbs feels more like a pagan altar than a dinner table. But in northern Vietnam, thịt kèn is a beloved drinking snack. It's what you serve at family feasts, ancestral death anniversaries, or spontaneous weekend parties with too much rice wine. It's made by mixing fresh animal blood, usually duck or pig, with fish sauce to slow coagulation. The liquid is then poured over a bed of minced meat, cartilage, and offal. After it sets like a dark, savory jelly, it's dressed with lime juice, herbs, and chili slices. And the taste, cold, metallic, smooth like velvet. But then, it surprises you with a wave of salt, fat, herbs, and umami hitting your tongue all at once. Pork organ porridge, a bowl of guts, literally. Pork organs, plain rice porridge, scallions, and a heavy dose of courage. To most Vietnamese, chow long is a warm, familiar breakfast. But to many Americans, it's more like a fear factor challenge in disguise. Inside that innocent-looking bowl is a full parade of organs: heart, liver, kidneys, stomach, intestines both small and large. All boiled, sliced, and neatly arranged like a polite invitation to confront your limits. The broth smells comforting: ginger, fish sauce, black pepper, and scallions wafting up like grandma's hug. Until your spoon scoops up something cold, slippery, unmistakably intestinal. And that's when it hits you. This is not breakfast, this is bravery. To eat chow long is to step into a world where flavor meets fear. It's not just about eating with your mouth. It's eating with your heart, guts, and soul. Lemongrass chili frog, Vietnam sexy chicken. Does frog taste like chicken? That's the classic question every foreigner asks when faced with frog legs for the first time. And the answer is, absolutely not. Frog is softer, more fragrant, and according to many Vietnamese way sexier than chicken. Especially when stir-fried with lemongrass and chili. In a sizzling wok, chopped lemongrass, fresh chilies, and garlic are tossed until fragrant. Then come the plump frog legs, juicy, golden, and glistening with spicy oil. The sound, a sensual sizzle. The smell, dangerously tempting. Vietnamese people don't just eat frogs, they celebrate them. From frog hot pot, Singapore-style porridge with a local twist, to earthy clay pot frog stews, the amphibian has climbed its way into culinary glory. But nothing beats lemongrass chili frog, a dish that hits your senses like a love letter written in spice. Why is it so irresistible? Because lemongrass and chili are known to stimulate the nervous system, triggering dopamine and adrenaline responses. Eating spicy frog isn't just a meal, it's a mild euphoria, a spicy thrill that lingers. In the countryside, this dish is a drinking buddy's favorite, cheap, easy to make, and dangerously good with cold beer. In the city, it's the kind of food you crave at midnight when your senses are tired and your soul wants to wake up, bite by spicy bite. It's not like chicken, it's frog with attitude. Grilled field rats, a Vietnamese delicacy born from the rice fields. Say rat to an American, and they'll picture filthy rodents in the New York subway, nibbling on leftover pizza and scurrying through the sewers. Say chut hen to a Vietnamese farmer, and you'll see them licking their lips. Because this isn't sewer rat, this is field rat raised on rice, fresh air, and open fields. Cleaner than factory farm chicken, by a mile. Grilled field rat has a golden, crispy skin. The meat is lean yet juicy, slightly fatty, and infused with the smoky aroma of charcoal and spices. Some say it tastes like chicken, others say like rabbit. But seasoned eaters will tell you it tastes like rat field rat, and that's a compliment. It's grilled whole and dipped in lime salt chili. In Vietnamese culture, rats are not symbols of filth, they're signs of a bountiful harvest. When the rice is ripe, the rats get fat. And when the rats are fat, it's barbecue time. It's not just food. It's the taste of Vietnamese countryside victory. Snake wine. A shot of courage in a bottle. In Vietnam, some bottles aren't just drinks. They're a test of guts, literally and figuratively. Inside a clear glass jar, you'll see a real cobra, cold as if ready to strike, its unblinking eyes staring right at the drinker. This isn't a gimmick. This is snake wine, a traditional herbal liquor, often infused with venomous snakes, scorpions, and sometimes even animal genitalia. Sounds terrifying, maybe, but to many Vietnamese men, snake wine is a symbol of masculine bravery. One sip is said to strengthen your joints, boost your blood flow, and yes, enhance your performance in bed. Modern science may raise an eyebrow, but in rural Vietnam, snake wine is more than booze. It's a cultural lesson. A liquid ritual of courage, moderation, and belief in ancestral wisdom. Bottoms up, if you dare. In Vietnam, there's a sound that signals rain is coming. Not thunder, not wind, but the clink-clink of pot lids at sidewalk snail stalls. Rain begins to fall, streets get slick, motorbikes honk non-stop. And under a makeshift awning, people start to slurp snails. TC hot means snail slurping. They're usually rice field snails or water snails, boiled or stir-fried with lemongrass, chili, and lime leaves, served in steaming bowls of bright red broth. Each snail is like a tiny muddy pearl from Vietnam's countryside, wrapped in spice and the smoky heat of a street vendor's pushcart. And forget forks, this isn't fine dining, it's finesse dining. You hold the snail in one hand, a toothpick in the other, lean in close, and slurp. If you're lucky, the snail shoots straight into your mouth. If not, you just sprayed snail broth all over your friend. But no one gets mad, because this is not just a snack. It's a ritual, a street-side tradition. A rainy season bonding experience, and in Vietnam, when someone texts you, "Snail time," you don't say no. Fermented shrimp paste, Vietnam's deliciously divisive bad boy. If fish sauce is the elegant queen of Vietnamese cuisine, then shrimp paste is the unapologetic bad boy, loud, polarizing, and irresistibly rebellious. Made from fermented baby shrimp, and DM team has a pungent, salty punch that assaults your nose before it hits your tongue, and yet, somehow, you start to crave it. Silkworm pupae, from high fashion to street snack. Once upon a time, silkworms were icons of elegance. Spinning delicate silk threads, they helped weave flowing gowns and shimmering eau dye, the haute couture of old Vietnam. Today, they're fried crispy, served with herbs and chili salt. From fashion to food, Vietnamese sustainability at its finest. To the Western nose, bold pupae can smell earthy, buggy, like nature is getting a little too close. Give them a hot wok, a dash of lime leaves, and a sprinkle of salt, and suddenly, they're crispy, nutty, protein-packed nuggets of surprise. In Vietnam, eating silkworm pupae isn't weird, it's resourceful. Thing CC, Vietnam's whole horse hot pot. Thing CC is a traditional dish of the Hmong people in Vietnam's northern highlands. The name alone sounds intense, like hooves pounding into earth. And yes, it involves a horse, a whole one. Meat, bones, heart, liver, intestines, lungs, blood, almost every part goes into the bubbling pot, everything except the ney. In the cold mountains, this dish isn't just food, it's a ritual of survival. It's warmth in the wine, brotherhood in a bowl, and courage in liquid form. You sit around a pot of thing cc, passing corn liquor back and forth, and you're not just eating, you're participating in a masculine rite of passage. To many Americans, the first reaction is, you ate the whole horse. They're not shocked by the taste, they're shocked by the philosophy. Western cuisine favors cuts, clean, trimmed, labeled, shrink-wrapped. But ting cc, it's raw respect, a lesson in not wasting life, in honoring the animal by consuming every part. Whether you find it fascinating or frightening, one thing's for sure, ting cc is not for the faint of heart. Cha rui, autumn delicacy or psychological challenge. Cha rui, a dish, is mysterious as it is seasonal. It only shows up for a few fleeting weeks in Vietnam's autumn. And for food lovers in Hanoi, it's a rare culinary treasure. The main ingredient: polychaete worms, yes, actual sea worms with bristles, wiggly bodies, and a look that could haunt your dreams. But once mixed with egg, ground pork, tangerine peel, and dill, fried slowly until golden and crispy, this odd creature transforms into something utterly addictive. The magic of cha rui isn't just in the taste, it's in the triumph. You overcome the initial ick, and in return, you get a dish that's rich, delicate, citrusy, and completely unforgettable. It's not just food, it's a test of your courage. And those who pass, they don't just eat cha rui, they earn it. A spicy food journey that's weird, funny, but deeply cultural. Don't forget to like plus subscribe for more bizarre, amazing foods from Vietnam and beyond. Think you're ready for Korean cuisine? Think again. Because this isn't your filtered TikTok Korean BBQ fantasy. This is a deep dive into dishes that might shock Americans more than their own politics. From raw intestines to coagulated blood, and even creatures they consider pets. Buckle up, this one's not for the faint of heart. Imagine sitting in a small Korean eatery. In front of you is a plate of baby octopus, freshly chopped into small pieces, still wriggling as if resisting its fate. Tiny suction cups cling stubbornly to your chopsticks, forcing you to tug a little harder just to lift them up. For Koreans, this is sonaki, the ultimate proof of freshness and a fearless eating culture. But for many Americans, the sight feels like a close-up scene from a horror movie. The food is still alive. They watch with equal parts curiosity and dread, asking, "Are you sure it won't stick to my throat?" When Americans hear the word sundae, their eyes light up, picturing a tall glass of creamy ice cream topped with rich chocolate sauce. But then, the culinary plot twist hits. Instead of ice cream, they're served a pig's intestines stuffed with pig's blood, glass noodles, and spices. For Koreans, sundae is a beloved street food. Enjoy hot with salt, pepper. Sliced into neat rounds, Each piece has a chewy intestine casing holding a glossy black filling of blood mixed with shimmering glass noodles and fragrant garlic and pepper. One bite releases a rich, slightly metallic creaminess from the blood, blending with the bouncy chew of the casing and the warmth of the seasonings. For organ lovers, it's heavenly. For the uninitiated, one mouthful might be enough to send them straight to the checkout counter. You walk into a traditional Korean restaurant. The server places a plate of stingray in front of you. Looks harmless until the smell slams into your face. It's not fishy, not like soy sauce, but like fermented urine. Yes, hongeo, Korea's infamous fermented skate, smells so pungent that many first-time visitors are convinced they've just stepped into a public restroom at rush hour in the subway. Why does it smell like this? Unlike most fish, stingrays don't urinate through a bladder. Instead, they marinate their entire body in urea. When fermented, that urea breaks down into ammonia, the very thing your nose is now desperately trying to erase from memory. But for Koreans, hongeo isn't just food, it's a rite of passage. Eating hongeo is about proving you're mature enough to step beyond the boundaries of comfort. They often serve it with spicy kimchi and boiled pork, letting the ammonia mingle with the heat and richness, creating a flavor symphony only locals truly appreciate. Here's the twist. In Korea, the stronger the smell, the higher the quality. What you think is horrific is exactly what makes them proud. So the real question is, would you dare take the bite and push past the shock to understand why some call this restroom aroma the fragrance of home? Imagine walking into a tiny Korean eatery on a cold winter morning. The owner smiles warmly, placing a steaming pot in front of you. But wait, what's that smell? It's sharp, pungent, and heavy, somewhere between a wet gym sock forgotten for 3 days and a sun-baked wheel of blue cheese. Ladies and gentlemen, meet Jjangakyeon, Korea's answer to Japan's natto. Koreans adore this dish. They say it warms you from the inside out. Americans, on the other hand, tend to eat it while questioning why one of the most technologically advanced nations on earth would willingly consume something that smells like unwashed laundry. Here's the kicker: the special smell isn't an accident. Jjangakyeon is made by boiling sardines, then fermenting them for several days at about 37–40 degrees Celsius. During this time, a bacteria called Bacillus subtilis, which honestly sounds like an alien life form, eats the beans and produces an aroma so potent it could drive away evil spirits. And possibly your neighbors if they're not used to it. But don't judge too quickly. This is a true superfood packed with protein, enzymes, and probiotics that boost digestion, improve blood circulation, and may even help prevent blood clots. From a nutritional standpoint, Jjangakyeon is like a rough-looking warrior with the power of longevity hidden inside. Culturally, it's even more fascinating. In Korea, Jjangakyeon isn't just food, it's memory. It's the winter family meal, with snow falling outside and the smell of fermented soybean soup filling the kitchen. To adults, it's comforting. To kids, it's a reason to flee the dining table. And here's the cultural twist: Koreans treat the ability to eat Jjangakyeon as a rite of passage. If you can eat it with pleasure, you're one of them. If you can't handle the smell, sorry, you're still just a tourist. So if you ever visit Korea, give it a shot, push past the weaponized aroma, and you might find it warm, rich, and strangely addictive. Just don't schedule a date right after unless you want to be remembered by your scent. Some foods, the moment you see them, you think you know exactly what they are. But Gable, the infamous penis fish, is different. It doesn't just make you blush, it makes you wonder, why is this even on a plate? Picture this: you're an American tourist wandering through Bison's seafood market, among rows of fish, squid, and clams. You spot a pile of pinkish, slightly curved, shiny creatures that are very hard not to think dirty thoughts about. The vendor smiles brightly. Fresh gable, very delicious. Before you can react, swish. One is sliced into wriggling pieces and laid right on a plate. No frying, no steaming, just raw. Gable is actually a marine spoonworm, Orechis unicinctus. It burrows under sand, filtering seawater for food, and its shape. Well, let's just say it's accidentally accurate enough to make adults look away. To Koreans, gable is a seafood delicacy, crunchy, sweet, best eaten with spicy gochujang sauce. To many foreigners, especially Americans, it's pure trauma on a plate. But in Korean food culture, gable isn't just food, it's a hidden symbol. It shows up in jokes, drinking banter, and sometimes as a test of male courage. Why do Korean men invite friends to a seafood bar, order a plate of gable, and burst out laughing when the newbie takes his first bite? Because this isn't just about eating. It's a mix of challenging one's bravery, subtle power play, and yes, a bit of sexual humor. In the US, men might prove their toughness by chugging a dozen beers or eating def-level spicy wings. In Korea, a more seafaring version is to eat gable raw, the fresher, the better. And here's the irony, once they get past the shape, many Americans actually enjoy the taste. Some even describe it as super fresh calamari, but with extra drama. But for those who've tried it, the real question isn't is it tasty, it's, would you dare eat it again? There are dishes that are more than just food. They're a primal test of human instinct. In Korea, dakbul, fiery red spicy chicken feet, is one such example. Small, bony, and full of tendons, each foot holds a story of endurance, skill, and how far you're willing to throw away your elegant image in front of others. Koreans don't eat chicken feet with forks and knives. No, they use their hands. They grab, twist, and gnaw every last bit of skin and meat, leaving nothing behind. And to many Americans, that scene looks a bit savage, but in truth, that savage element is part of the fun. The feet are coated in gochujang-based sauce so spicy, it can make you sweat from the very first bite. That heat isn't just for torture, it's a bonding ritual. Sitting together, hands covered in sauce, faces flushed, no non-bones while chatting. This is a social glue in Korea. In Western culture, eating with your hands is often considered impolite, unless it's a burger or pizza. But in Korea, chicken feet prove that closeness sometimes comes from breaking the rules of fine dining. You can't keep your royal composure while pulling bones out of your mouth with your fingers, and that's exactly why it brings people closer. Americans look at dakbul and think, chicken feet? Really, isn't that the part with the least meat? But Koreans see it as the essence, packed with collagen, crunch, and chewiness that chicken breast or thighs could never offer. Nutritionally, collagen from chicken feet is considered a miracle for skin and joints. Psychologically, non-chicken feet gives you a sense of victory, as if you've conquered a small challenge in life. Here's the twist. The dish some Americans call savage is actually a symbol of Korean bonding and culinary heritage. And from another angle, if you dare to eat chicken feet, it means you've crossed a cultural border, stepping into a world where food is not just for survival, but for challenge and connection. What if I told you that in Korea, there's a dish called sundae? But it's not ice cream, it's squid. Stuffed with glass noodles and animal blood. This culinary plot twist is called ojingyo sundae. Chefs take fresh, plump squid and tack it with a mixture of glass noodles, vegetables, spices, and here's the kicker, pig's or cow's blood for that signature color and flavor. Then it's steamed or boiled, sliced into neat, sushi-like rounds, in a deep purple hue. It looks beautiful, very Instagrammable, but the first bite is where the real twist hits. The crunch of the squid meets the chewiness of the noodles, wrapped in that iron-rich, slightly gamey aroma of blood, something many Americans have described as an unexpected date with a barnyard. For Koreans, though, this is comfort food, evoking memories of seaside markets and bustling street stalls. For Western travelers, it's often a head-scratcher. Why? Mix blood into squid. But that's the logic in much of Asian cuisine. If it's edible, it's valuable, and if it surprises you, it's probably delicious. And so this dish becomes a cultural test. If you can handle it, you're officially open-minded and truly respectful of Korean food. You think the spiciest thing in Korea is kimchi? Wrong. Here, there's a soup that can set your whole body on fire, make your heart race, and sweat pour down like you just ran a marathon. It's called montang, or spicy fish head soup. Picture this. In front of you is a boiling pot of fiery red broth, bubbling as if plotting something sinister. Inside, instead of neat fillets like in a fancy European restaurant, you're greeted by a whole fish head, its eyes staring straight at you. The aroma, a fusion of Korean chili flakes, gochujang paste, ginger, garlic, and the deep ocean scent from fish bones. One sip and your taste buds are under siege, searing heat like inhaling mustard gas, yet balanced by the sweet, rich flavor of fish meat. Koreans don't just eat montang to fill their stomachs. It's a revival dish after nights of soju-induced memory loss. The heat wakes you up, and the protein from fish helps your body recover. The fish head, a part many would throw away, is considered the crown jewel, packed with tender meat, gelatin, and the richest umami from the bones. Korean food culture has a clear philosophy: waste nothing. Montang embodies that perfectly. They don't shy away from using the less glamorous parts of the ingredient, as long as the flavor reaches its peak. For many Americans, seeing a fish head in a bowl is a culinary jump scare. They're used to pristine, boneless fillets with no eyes in sight. But in Korea, if the fish head isn't looking back at you, the dish has lost half its soul. Here's the twist. Some foreigners, after overcoming the initial shock, end up loving the fish head the most, especially the cheek meat, silky and buttery, often considered the hidden treasure of the pot. Montang isn't just soup, it's a test. Are you ready to look your meal in the face and still slurp it down with a smile? If your answer is yes, congratulations. You've crossed the line from casual diner to true adventurer in Korean cuisine. You know which dish makes Koreans frown while eating, yet keep reaching for more? It's not the spiciest dish, nor the most expensive one. It's grilled beef small intestines, gopchang. Yes, the name alone already carries a certain aroma. For many Westerners, this is something that belongs in the slaughterhouse bin. But in Korea, gopchang is a symbol of fearless eating. Fatty, smoky, and dangerously addictive. Grilling gopchang isn't just about throwing beef intestines on a grill, it's a ritual. The intestines are cleaned, marinated, then grilled over charcoal until the inner fat starts to melt and bubble. The sizzling sound is like an invitation, both seductive and slightly intimidating. The aroma rises, and let's be honest, it's a deep kind of smell. For the uninitiated, it might feel like, did someone just burn something in here? But gopchang isn't just a foodie's drinking snack. It's tied to Korea's post-war history, when every part of an animal was valued and nothing was wasted. For Americans trying it for the first time, the journey often has 3 stages: shock at the ingredient, curiosity sparked by the aroma, and love at first bite. So next time you see it on the menu, put aside your hesitation because you might just discover a new, fatty kind of love. You know that feeling when you see a smooth, innocent-looking green chili. Then take one bite, and suddenly it feels like the universe just poured molten lava straight into your mouth. Yeah, that's when you meet Goku, Korea's spiciest chili. But Koreans don't stop there. They stuff it with minced meat, coat it in batter, deep-fry it golden, and turn it into a deadly yet beautiful spice bomb. Interestingly, Goku isn't some ancient native chili. It's actually a hybrid child between Korean green chili and Thai chili, bred in the 1980s specifically to make things spicier. Koreans have always been good at eating spicy food, but they constantly want to challenge themselves. It's like going to the gym. If lifting 50 kilograms feels easy, you push it to 70 kilograms just for the thrill. Except here, instead of lifting weights, they're upgrading. mouth burn. The whole stuffing me and deep frying trick is a very Korean culinary twist. It's a dish that feels homemade like mom's cooking, yet also combat-ready like a survival test. One bite and you get crispy batter, savory meat, and finally, a knockout punch from the capsaicin inside. This dish is both Joe and a dare. From a scientific perspective, capsaicin, the compound responsible for spiciness, isn't actually hot in a physical sense. It simply tricks your nervous system into thinking you're being burned. Your body then releases endorphins, the happy chemicals that make you feel euphoric, even a little high. That's why so many Koreans eat spicy food with tears streaming down their faces, yet still smiling. But on a cultural level, spiciness is also a metaphor. In Korean society, where academic pressure, work stress, and social norms weigh heavily, eating something painfully spicy becomes a form of release. Spiciness here isn't just a flavor, it's an emotional explosion, a shot of adrenaline in a disciplined life. And there's one more thing: testing courage. Many Korean friend groups have a chili game. Whoever finishes first wins, and whoever gives up pays the bill. It's not just eating, it's a display of endurance. Just like drinking soju, eating spicy chili in Korea is a way to prove you're not easily defeated. So, when you hold a golden, deep fry, meat stuffed chinyang goku, remember, you're not just eating a delicious dish. You're enjoying a cultural ritual, a taste bud battle, and maybe even a soul cleansing by fire.
If you've made it this far, maybe your curiosity isn't average. Maybe you don't just eat to survive, you eat to understand, so don't just scroll away. Drop a thought in the comments, something only you would say. Like this video if it sparked anything inside you. And hit subscribe, not for the algorithm, but for the next question you never knew you needed. Because here, we don't feed the masses, we feed the minds that wonder.
Reality is saltier than the Sea of Japan. In Japanese cuisine, there are dishes that, at first glance, can make Americans instantly text their therapist. Today, we dive deep into the top 10 Japanese foods that shock Americans, where you'll see everything from fish that's still breathing to dishes that feel less like dinner and more like a test of human nerves and hormones.
If you've made it this far, maybe your curiosity isn't average. Maybe you don't just eat to survive, you eat to understand, so don't just scroll away. Drop a thought in the comments, something only you would say. Like this video if it sparked anything inside you. And hit subscribe, not for the algorithm, but for the next question you never knew you needed. Because here, we don't feed the masses, we feed the minds that wonder.
Basashi, also known as horse sashimi, is one of Japan's most refined yet shocking delicacies. Thin slices of fresh, ruby red horse meat, served with grated ginger and soy sauce, melt in your mouth with a distinct sweetness only raw meat can deliver. For Americans, horses are friends, for riding, cowboy movies, or children's stories, not food. So when they see a plate of basashi, the first reaction is often, "Wait, you eat my little pony." But in Japan, basashi is a symbol of freshness and masculine strength. Packed with iron and protein, and traditionally believed to boost male vitality. In other words, testosterone here isn't just produced in your body, it's served right on the plate, with a dab of wasabi and the deep culinary heritage of Kumamoto, the region most famous for this dish. Natto, Japan's fermented soybeans, is the kind of food that, if you didn't grow up with it, your first reaction might be, Did someone forget to wash this bowl since last week? Does shiny bean stretch into long, sticky strings like super glue, releasing a strong, earthy smell? But wait, don't run away just yet. In Japan, natto is considered a superfood with over 1,000 years of history. Scientifically speaking, natto is packed with vitamin K2 for strong bones and healthy blood flow, and contains nattokinase, an enzyme that helps dissolve blood clots. In other words, it's like a street cleaning crew for your circulatory system. For Americans, it's a different story. Breakfast means pancakes, bacon, or dry cereal. Hand them a bowl of sticky natto and say, "It's good for you," and it's like offering them a glass of slime protein shake. Many Americans who've lived in Japan long enough end up addicted to natto, even bringing it back home for breakfast every day. Maybe that's because once you get past its unfriendly appearance, natto becomes like that weird friend no one else understands, except you. Shirako. The name sounds delicate and poetic. Until you realize it literally means fish sperm sac. Yes, exactly what you're imagining is what's sitting in that bowl. In Japan, shirako is considered a delicacy, often from pufferfish or cod, with a creamy, custard-like texture and a light, buttery flavor that melts on your tongue. Diners describe it as a warmth you can't quite explain, romantic words, until you learn the truth. Scientifically, shirako is packed with protein, omega-3s, and nutrients beneficial for the nervous system and heart. Culturally, it highlights a stark difference. In the West, reproductive organs are often avoided, while in Japan, they're celebrated as part of honoring the whole animal, wasting nothing. And perhaps that's the beauty of cuisine. What you find impossible to swallow might just be the happiest moment of someone else's meal. Inego no tsukudani, sweet salty simmered grasshoppers from Japan, is the kind of dish that makes many Americans itch just hearing about it. For them, insects belong in camping horror stories and shrieks over cockroaches, not dinner plates. But in rural Japan, especially in mountainous regions, grasshoppers were once a precious source of protein when fish and meat were scarce. The grasshoppers are cleaned, briefly boiled, then slowly simmered in soy sauce, sugar, and mirin until glossy, flavorful, and perfectly crunchy sweet. It may look like a nightmare to an insect phobie, but that savory sweet aroma can send many Japanese straight back to childhood memories. From a scientific perspective, insects have more protein per weight than beef, with less saturated fat. In our age of sustainability, this humble dish might just be rebranded as a superfood of the future, and who knows, maybe one day, America won't just have beef burgers, but grasshopper burgers. Fugu, the deadly pufferfish, is the kind of dish where one wrong cut means no dessert, ever. Its flesh is white, firm, and delicately fresh, but its fame comes from the lethal tetrodotoxin concentrated in its liver and roe. Only licensed chefs are allowed to prepare it, after years of rigorous training to keep diners alive. For the Japanese, fugu is a symbol of bravery and prestige. Eating it is both a pleasure and a flirtation with death. If sushi is the art of the sea, then horamen is the symphony of inerts. In Japan, horamen refers to grilled beef or pork, offal, often including small intestines, stomach, liver, heart, all cut into bite-sized pieces, marinated in bold seasonings, and grilled directly over charcoal. The name horamen comes from the Kansai dialect, meaning discarded goods, because in the past, these parts were rarely used in fine dining. But over time, what was once thrown away evolved into a beloved delicacy and a staple drinking companion. From a scientific standpoint, organ meats are rich in vitamin A, B12, iron, and zinc, all crucial for testosterone production and sustained energy. It's no coincidence that many Japanese see horamen as a power dish for men. There's even a playful saying that if you eat horamen at night, the next morning you'll feel 10 years younger. For Americans, however, horamen can be a serious cultural shock. In the West, offal is often associated with pet food or extreme eats for the adventurous. Many first-time visitors, upon seeing beef intestines on the grill with creamy white fat sizzling out, can't help but react, "Nope, not today." But for the Japanese, this is a story of resourcefulness, respecting every part of the animal and turning the least glamorous cuts into something exciting. In a society that treasures elegance, horamen is the ultimate rule breaker. It's not refined, it's not delicate. Eating horamen means sitting close around a grill, tongs in hand, sweat on your brow, the sizzling fat drowning out conversations. Uni, or sea urchin roe, might look like a golden orange sea foam, but it's considered one of Japan's most luxurious delicacies. Its taste, rich, salty, and just a little provocative, like kissing the lips of the ocean. To Japanese sea uni is the pure essence of the sea, while many Americans squint and say, "Why does this melt in my mouth like salty butter mixed with seawater?" Interestingly, uni is rich in zinc and compounds that boost dopamine, the happy hormone, which might just make you feel a little euphoric, maybe even romantic. In Japan, uni isn't just food, it's a full sensory experience, from flavor to emotion. Wasabi, that tiny green paste that can make a grown adult cry in just 3 seconds. Americans often think it's like mustard, but wasabi delivers a very different kind of neural assault. It doesn't burn your tongue like chili. Instead, it shoots straight up your nose, pierces through your sinuses, blurs your vision, and makes your brain temporarily go offline for maintenance. In Japan, wasabi isn't just about adding heat. It's a palate cleanser and a natural antibacterial when eating raw fish like sashimi. But for first-timers who overdose, the reaction is like watching the saddest movie ever while inhaling a cloud of tear gas. Tears streaming, face flushed, mouth wide open yet trying to act like "I'm fine, I'm totally in control." In Japan, they actually have wasabi shot challenges to test both bravery and pain tolerance. And strangely, that ambush sensation becomes addictive for some, kind of like riding a roller. In Japan, there's a dish that, at first glance, might make you think, what's so special? It's just daikon radish, boiled eggs, fish cakes, sitting in a pot of broth. But if you sit next to that pot long enough, you'll understand why the Japanese treat it as a winter companion. This is oden, a slow-simmered hot pot, gently bubbling for hours, sometimes the entire day. What's fascinating is that oden isn't loud like the vigorously boiling hot pots of China or Vietnam. Its broth doesn't explode with flavor instantly. Instead, it releases a gentle aroma, slowly creeping into your senses like a calm conversation with an old friend, unhurried but warm. Each ingredient in oden feels like a character with its own backstory. Daikon radish, soft but not mushy, soaked through with umami broth. Boiled eggs, seemingly plain, but after long hours in the pot, the yolks turn a gentle brown, each bite a blend of sweet and savory. Fish cakes, springy, fragrant with the ocean. Here's the key. They all soak together in the same pot, sharing flavors, exchanging personalities. In other words, oden is true teamwork. No single ingredient overshadows the others, but the group as a whole becomes richer. This reflects a very Japanese sense of collectivism. Each individual blends into the whole, so the whole becomes perfect. If you look closely, oden is like a miniature society. Some people need more time to mature like the daikon, others absorb flavors quickly like eggs or tofu, yet they all exist within the same ecosystem, the broth. What's even more charming is that oden is often sold in Japanese convenience stores during winter. You walk in, freezing cold, and see a pot of oden quietly steaming. Just ladling out a small portion feels like recharging your life battery. The Japanese call it a comfort food, not because it fills your stomach, but because it makes you feel cared for. In an age where everything is fast, fast food, fast fashion, fast life, Odin stands as a reminder. Some things are only delicious when you let time do its work. Just like friendship, love, or even power, what comes too quickly often fades fast, but what is slowly nurtured lasts longer. The Japanese even have a playful metaphor. Odin is slow seduction. You don't feel it right away, but little by little, it seeps into your heart. And once you fall for it, you'll never forget that gentle warmth. You know fried eggs, right? A breakfast classic, from sunny side up to scrambled with scallions. But in Japan, they take it in a direction that makes many Westerners raise an eyebrow. Tamagoyaki, sweet rolled omelet. Yes, sweet. They whisk eggs with sugar, mirin, and sometimes a splash of sake, then skillfully roll them into thin, silky layers. When sliced, each tamagoyaki looks like a cozy yellow blanket for sushi. But for Americans, that sweetness is a culinary plot twist, because in their minds, eggs belong to the salty breakfast realm, alongside bacon and black coffee. In Japan, tamagoyaki isn't just food, it's a chef's skill test. Sushi masters are judged by their omelet. The thinner, the more even, the shinier, the more masterful the hand. This tradition comes from the philosophy of kaizen, continuous improvement, even in the simplest dish. You could say sweet tamagoyaki is Japan's version of pancakes with syrup in America. Americans think it's weird because eggs plus sweet break the breakfast rulebook. Japanese people think the opposite. If you're eating eggs, why not explore every dimension of taste? A perfect tamagoyaki is sweet, mildly savory, soft yet springy, like love itself, requiring both tenderness and a touch of surprise.